Hey, hey, hey! We're back for a car ride convo. Hope everybody's doing well today. We got a little bit of trip, so I figured I'd get on here and talk a bunch of madness and see that nobody gets on to see it. That's okay. We still try to be positive, and if we can reach one person, just one person that's going through something, fellow vet, somebody that suffers pain, mental problems, family, love, life, the things that most of us will encounter burdens for, maybe we can reach them, and that's okay. Because some days, that's all we need is just one person to validate that we're on the same plane as human beings and that we all go through it, because we do. No matter how good it looks from the outside, no matter how often people say, man, you got it good. Wow, must be nice to have it easy. I can't believe the freedoms you have financially. All these things that others look from the outside in on. Just like I did. I did it. I always looked at all those white picket fences and thought, man, if I had a life like that, it'd be perfect. Perfect. No issues. Wouldn't complain. Wouldn't do anything wrong. I would just take care of everything within that white picket fence. That's not true. It's just not true. Because I've had it all. And, well, I was still full of flaws. So, there you go. So today on our car ride, I know I hit on it quite often because, well, it's my world, but I want to discuss pain. A lot of people suffer different pains, and it's funny because when you talk to people and you get immersed in these conversations,
South William Street.
I apologize. You get immersed in these conversations, and there's always going to be the possibility that they're going to compare their pain to yours. Now, some are considerate and understand that all of us don't know each other that way. We like to have parallels, to put similarities out there to tell people that we understand in the greatest manner that we can, but we're not living those people's lives. Some will say, I heard a good comment this weekend. A gentleman said to me, you haven't seen the things I've seen. And I said, well, number one, it's not a contest. I can assure you.
Take to the next left
Number
on
two,
South William Street.
none of us have seen the things the other people have seen.
Continue
I've stated
for
it
13
before,
miles.
that even if we grew up side by side, twins, born on the same day, nobody will see the same thing that someone else sees. Because your perspective is going to be, even if it's off just a little bit, it's still off. And that has to be taken into consideration for your view. Be it physical, by eyesight, be it the way you mentally process it. None of us will see the same thing. It's just not, even in the same instance, how many people are out there that have been witness to something? The interviews come out, 20 people standing right there looking at the exact same situation. Especially if there's trauma involved of some sort, some type of excitement. Every one of them will give different details. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about perspectives? In seeing the same thing, knowing the same thing. I understand. No, I get it. Those kind of things, right? But we don't. Because we can't. Nothing wrong with that, but we can't. So for this individual, wherever he's from, and I'm not minimizing them at all. My point being is, they haven't seen what I've seen. Now, I've had conversations with that person, And that person has expressed some pain and some validation towards, let's just say maybe some substance use or whatever. And not knocking anything. That's not my business. That's theirs. But they validated some things. And I can appreciate that. I get pain medication. I get very little, but I do get pain medication. The pain medication I take, I was given for service-related injuries. Never wanted to be on pain medication at all. I grew up in a substance abuse house. I knew that it was possible to be within me. My grandfathers both had substance abuse issues. My parents, terribly, both of them junkies. Mom also alcoholic. They'd put anything in their body. God bless them. They're both gone. Definitely not bad mouthing them. Anybody that knows me knows I love my parents like nothing else. However, my mom committed suicide, and my father was found dead in a shady motel a couple years later, just 2 years ago. And mom passed in 2010. Didn't pass, committed suicide. She shot herself through the heart with an AR-15. And no, I'm not anti-gun. Also pain sufferer. Mom had lupus, so this all going back to pain. Hopefully I don't string you along. I know I'm a storyteller, but that's just my way. I get this talkative from my mom, so she was really super social. Anyways, back to this individual. He had explained some things before that said he justified pain. I get my pain medication. I get it. My pain medication doesn't necessarily take away my pain because I take so little and have continued to take so little. I've actually taken less than what they gave me before. Over 15 years now. Most that would hear it would be amazed that I've been able to maintain taking so little for this long. That I don't do it for any other reason but to take the edge off so I'm not an arsehole, to be honest. I consider it my morning coffee, if you will. It just helps me to where I'm not snapping at people. Something that I realized earlier in my life, because I've always gone through a lot of pain. I've pushed my body, as many people have in the military and otherwise. And in that, I've got some issues. So hearing this, I like to put people's picture together. We all have presumptions, but I try not to take those too deep. I try to let people paint their picture for me. Sometimes, some people you got to dig it out of a little bit. Some people offer it willingly, and then you got to sort through it. And a lot of us that have taken on training and to understand the ideas of how people communicate, some of us look for cues to see if people are being honest. Some of us look for cues to make sure that people are following us in a path, that they're not trying to finesse us or scam us. They're not trying to get something back out of us. They're actually just seeking to share. They're not trying to get anything in return, which we all are, but not in a negative way, not always. Anyways, so this individual, we go back and forth, talk a little bit, and I see a little bit of this victimology coming out in them, and I haven't walked in their shoes. I don't know that. I've been a victim. I can't say theirs is worse, mine is worse, because I won't. I've always stood on the fact that everybody's worst is their worst. So whatever my worst is, their worst is. Some people say, well, what if you had an arm blown off? It's not the same thing if somebody stubbed their toe. I don't know that. I don't know that. I just know that if they jumped up and down and that toe stubbing was the most painful, hurtful thing in the world, or their parents got divorced. Mine didn't. They were together, but holy heck, it was hell the entire time. We don't know their worst, okay? But I always say our worst is our worst. Comparably, we've all had a worst, and therefore we should be considerate. So anyways, we go through this pain thing, and I see that they've taken exception to a couple of things that I've said. And I get that, within reason. But that person has always been right with me and I've always been right with them. So what would change that just because I had a difference of opinion about how we walk as who we are and our pain, right? How we deal with it. So that's what we're talking about today. I hate to see that discussing these things can actually put wedges between people. Communication, interest, like a lot of this stuff. We shouldn't have cause for opposition because of that, right? But we have opposition because of our pain. Pain is that thing. Pain is that journey. It's that walk. And each one of us has it. And whatever it is, whatever bigoted ideas we have, bigoted in the sense that we don't support something a particular way because we simply see it differently. Too many people get the bigoted and racist things. I know I've touched on this before, but we see it too often. And we've got to remember that we only know what we know, and our experience gets us there. If we don't have the experience in it, of course we're going to have a bigoted opinion or a biased opinion. Those words do interchange. It's just a fact. Not because I say it, but because, it is what it is. I can't. I'm going to be bigoted to something that I don't support because I don't know it. So there is that. All right. I get off on a tangent again. I apologize. So, back to the pain thing. We all suffer in this pain, right? And one of the things that I do, and a lot of others do it as well, we tend to look for projects. Be it actions, activities from our own hands, or in helping somebody else. It's far easier to seek to assist another for that gratification, that end result that we can get from them, because we know that we won't have an end result based off of our experience and how we deal with ourselves. We could actually pack some of that stuff away, but we don't. So again, we'll put time towards them as opposed to self. And that's problematic because you forget yourself. And you're not good for anyone unless you are squared away before you help somebody else, right? Kind of like I always give the analogy of when you're on a plane, they tell you if you have somebody that can't do something, take care of yourself first, like your oxygen mask, and then assist them. Because again, if you're not squared away, it'd be hard to square somebody else away, right? I hope everyone tracks with that. All right, so back to the pain. We like to help others. Part of my service, not only in my military career, but beyond that, was the service part. I suffer. I have my trauma. I chose to serve. My thoughts were that I would serve and possibly be able to help somebody else out there that suffered in similar ways as I have. You get a little bit of that Superman effect, right? We're lifting, we're taking care of ourselves, we're busting ass, we're, as we call it in the military, we're humping. Not what some people think, humping. But we do these things, and because we're serving, right? We're pleasers. A lot of us are pleasers. And in that, it does seem easier to try to assist somebody else and take care of ourselves. The problem is that on a day like today, I rolled over in bed and thought, I don't sleep very well. Many of us in the military don't sleep very well. It is what it is. Different reasons, same output. But I didn't sleep even nearly as well last night because for the last couple weeks I've been suffering terribly. So, physical pain, which also makes me suffer, upstairs. Brings out a lot of darkness. We start questioning ourselves, our worth, that kind of stuff. And you really have to reel it in. You have to be careful. Yeah, I've been down those dark roads, deep down those dark roads. I know it's possible for me. I can't know what's possible for anyone else. So I have to be cognizant of what's going on around me. Otherwise, it'll get out of control. And that's how we slide with our experiences and our pain into these situations where we can't get back from in our minds. And then we make bad decisions. Permanent decisions for temporary problems, as we discussed with suicide. Suicide comes from that pain. Whatever that pain is. All of those problems seem better gone with suicide than not. That's a terrible pain to have. I was huge on thinking that people that attempted suicides, my mom had attempted suicide more than once in my lifetime when I was very young. I had my family and I had to resuscitate her kids, 5-6 years old. So when you have this type of pain that'll take us to that, if we don't pay attention to it, it gets out of hand. I once heard somebody in the special operations community state that we weren't crazy, it's just something is broken in the system. Something along those lines, paraphrasing. I don't think it could be said any better than that. We do see transformations of people through this pain that physically changes them. I've walked the hallways of the VA as a young man. My grandfather, my father, other family members served in the military, so I've always seen the VA. I never realized that was just military. For the one that we have in Battle Creek, it was known as a large facility for mental health. I walked those hallways and I saw some people that barely looked like an everyday human.
Continue on Michigan
These are people
for 2 miles.
that had swelling, thicker lips, just all their mannerisms look maybe like there were some factors that they were born with that weren't. But you got to remember, they're only treating veterans out there. So these were young, virile men that turned into that, almost like a hog. How a hog, if you take a regular pig and you leave it out, and it'll become a wild hog, and the tusk and all that, it'll transform. Looking back, that's obviously not in an inhumane way or not trying to be inconsiderate, just stating a comparison. How such a physical transformation was possible in a short period of time for these people that served our nation. And I never put 2 and 2 together as a young kid that these were beautiful young human beings, good looking, strapping, that went and did so much for our nation. And their pain had changed them. So when we see these things that can affect us this bad, if we're not looking for it, it's going to blindside us. You have to be committed in your pain, your grief, equally or more as you are committed in your joy. Because if you are not, then you will become a slave to that. And being a slave to that means going down a path of darkness, which will take you to what is the answer to sin. I won't get on a spiritual tangent here. I do believe it's all parallel, but we'll leave that out for today.
Take the next right on the
And for those of you who don't have that spiritual belief or a faith in something that seems higher power, but by no means do I frown upon you. By no means do I look at you differently. I certainly don't minimize who you are. I am so apologetic of this, but it has to be on, unfortunately. So, if we don't pay attention, we can lose ourselves. Now I blather on. This morning, it was terrible for me. I'm always upbeat. I'm always looking out for others because I'm always trying to celebrate every good thing to make sure that my inventory is full, because when that burden arrives and my pain takes me over, I have to have more in defenses to combat that. So I think filling my good cup, my happy cup, keeps me from the other cup overflowing. Just the way I do it. Probably wrong, because I do a lot of that wrong. Sorry. Sniffles, wife said she's sick. I can only imagine I'm probably getting something as well, but that's okay. So, when I got up the first time, I couldn't move in my suffering. And I thought, all right, just little bits at a time. And I'm still pushing through each day, doing a lot of projects, probably overdoing it in a sense that I need to back off, but not in the overdoing it in the sense that is normally Steve overdoing it, which is, hey, I'm about to pass out, I've been moving stuff all day, been working in the heat, probably didn't drink enough. I'm that guy, and I cause myself a lot of these issues for sure. But we're still talking about pain and how it affects everybody. And then in that pain, I get angered and I push through more, and it becomes a terrible cycle. But this morning, I almost couldn't. I felt like I couldn't move. And yesterday, I was struggling pretty bad, and I felt the anger shark swimming. And I thought, you know what? We've got to get out of these waters. And unfortunately, you don't just jump from water to shore. You have to climb through the shore break, which means landmines all around you being activated for others, which is completely unfair. And back to why I take my pain medication. I don't take any of the mood medications or anything like that. This helps me a little bit, SSRIs, whatever, because it takes the edge off, which makes me less of a butthole. It's, again, mad circle. Stick with me. I'm sorry. I know I speak all over the place. But yes, the pain was so bad this morning, I just didn't know if I could do it. I literally questioned if I could live this morning. And immediately, the defenses kick in. The guns come out. Not pew-pew guns, but the guns of defense that I need internally to battle those on-pushing forces that are trying to make me feel like I'm incapable of pushing through this pain, which I am. It sucks, but I am capable. I am more than capable. There's others out there that are going through way worse than I am, and they're doing it. They're doing more. I know, more is relative. We got to be careful about going down that road as well. But just stay with me, if you will. So there we are, and I'm thinking, okay, I know this. I know when this occurs, I've got to battle. So it was way too early for me to take my pain medication. I'm very limited on it, and the idea is I time it right, so the thick of the day, I'm squared away. I have enough of that little bit to get me through to where I can get by with just that little bit of edge of not compromising my situation around me. Not being a butthole to others, doing something, being active, not feeling like a waste. These things, I mean, it's a battle. It for sure is a battle. Thank the Lord above. Battle is my thing, but you can't always be in battle. You can't always be in pain. Those things are not healthy for us. And you can ask any warrior from tier 1 down to the little kid who goes and faces a bully, somebody else telling them to push through, a parent wanting him to charge, get after, a little girl, being told to dance this way, gymnastics, any of these things. These battles, you have to have that balance in there, right? And sometimes it gives, it pops. And you have to be able to walk away from that. And that's what's hard about pain, is there isn't an instant answer to it. People will tell you that there's a magic pill. A lot of addicts, not all, a lot of addicts get some instant relief from some fast-working substances that are out there that are super dangerous. Even worse, because that doesn't do anything other than immediately mask the problems to be left for the very next day or until it wears off. And that's no different than any cycle of hours that we have in this thing we call pain. So I hope that when there's other people that are out there and they come across these conversations, I hope they understand that not only am I talking through this for myself, because a lot of this is basically putting things out there so I can talk through them. It's my counsel, right? These are things that maybe looking back when my children are older, most of them are close to adult age, but maybe I'm not around, they can look back and see some of these things and be reminded of the battles that we all fought. Maybe some aha moments, that kind of thing. But more so, if I can serve and help one other person and reach out and see that, that's an amazing thing. That helps me inside because it gives me hope that I'll be able to do that on one of those days where it's hard for me. And you just you never know when you're going to reach somebody. I'm a firm believer that we are engaged in these type of situations because we literally are needed at that time. It is placed on our heart to reach somebody else because at that very moment, we are all so much alike that somebody else will have access to this and we can reach them. My views will probably show that differently because not many people watch this. I've got thousands of friends and I put these out there, but a lot of people like to watch celebrities and dream about being like them, and I get it. Some of the things are more seem more exciting. Unfortunately, they're missing the point that they're exciting, right? And a lot of these people, I look up to a lot of just regular everyday people, John citizens. I mean, civilians are my thing, I enjoy seeing them. I enjoy being around my own, fraternity sisters and brothers because we know one another. But I enjoy being out there learning about people. I mean, I love people. Right or wrong, same, opposite. I love to learn about people. I love to see people open up and share because it gives me a better perspective of how I should travel, be it right or wrong. They could be helping me to not do something a particular way. And I can appreciate that. There's value in that. And if I don't accept that, then I'm missing the opportunity to learn, be experienced, and be educated. So in the end, I'm a better and more full person for this wonderful gift that I've lived called life. I hope I haven't lost too many people, because I haven't gained too many people.
In half a mile, turn right
But
on US 12 West.
again, I hope that if somebody's out there and they're suffering like me this morning, and clearly I got going and I'm suffering pretty bad right now. But if they got going and they're able to do one more step, one more day, that's all we need to do. We need to deal with today, because tomorrow's a different day.
Take
And you don't
the
get
next right
yesterday
on
back.
US 12 West.
So let that stuff go. Let that go. That's a done deal. Just work on today. That's the biggest thing you can do for yourself.
Continue
You owe it
on
to
US
yourself.
12 West
You're
for
worth it.
3/4 of a mile.
Your value is amazing. If you can't see the value in yourself, no one else is going to see that. And if it's minimized by a pain that you want to control, as opposed to understanding and dealing with it, you're going to lose a lot of that value time lost on a battle that is just going in a circle without anything back from it. And you got to get something back out of it. Just like any investment, you got to get something back out of it. Otherwise, the worth is not there.
Circle. Take the third exit onto M205.
I'm so sorry. So sorry for that. What I'm not sorry for is any of you amazing people that may listen to this, that may like it or share it with somebody that's suffering. But I've been down some dark roads. And if I can do it, I know many others can. And I know some will feel that they can. And I appreciate that. I hate it for anybody that would go through this, but I appreciate it in the sense that
Exit the traffic
we
circle
really
onto
get challenged
M205.
in those ways
Continue for 3 miles.
far too often. So my heart is with you. Hopefully you've got a good plan. Hopefully your pain will be manageable. And I pray that you find comfort. Be it in loss, be it in your daily suffering, physical, mental, financial, feeling for somebody else, whatever it is. I truly want your comfort. It matters to me. I wish we would all find our comfort and stop enforcing our problems on others just to bring more pain. Unnecessary pain. We don't have enough in our lives to deal with each and every day. We got to take sand to the beach. We got to go find more suffering. We've got to impose more suffering. It's unnecessary. Some days you just want to wake up and smack the entire world and say, stop it. This is silly. These are bickering children when our lives could be so much more productive in solving problems. We seek war instead of solving our manageable problems right in front of us, as we see today. I'll try not to get too far down that road. Bless you, be well, love one another, embrace one another. Look for those keys to recognizing when people are not doing well. Head slumped down, short answers, not wanting to be involved or engaged. Engage those people. Don't try them in a manner that's going to pull some type of interaction that's going to be negative.
Welcome to Indiana.
Indiana. Engage them in a way and just listen. And give a little bit. Give a little. Don't just take all the time. Give a little bit. Understand that people just want to be heard. Help them deal with their pain. I hope each and every one of you gets to deal with your own pain. I really do. Thank you for listening to me. Be well.